basically as a mentor to help with any kind of questions. And that's it.
And that's it. Okay. Thank you, Becky.
You're welcome.
Okay. Casey. Casey, can you hear me?
Sorry, my computer froze. I'm Casey McDaniel, and I'll be the president at Fasken until we find a replacement. I'm also council PTA treasurer. And Becky was my mentor whenever we started Fasken 5 years ago.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you, Casey. Keitha.
Hi, I'm Keitha. I work for the MISD Education Foundation, and I am your PTA liaison between the district and council. And I am an old council president, treasurer, secretary, VPs. I've been around a very long time.
Thank you. Okay, Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Fuentes. I'm the president at Great House. And it's my first year on the board there, and I'm president. So I have been on a board in Denton ISD before, but it was not the same. So I'm excited to see what I can learn here. Thanks.
Okay, great. Glad to have you, Stephanie. Anita, can you unmute yourself? Hold on. Anita, I think she's frozen. So we'll go ahead and go with Erin.
Oh, well, everybody's frozen on my screen.
Okay, Erin's going to go, and then Anita, you can go.
Hi, my name is Erin Span, and I am the president of Emerson Elementary. This is my second year as president / treasurer because we've had the treasurer leave a couple times both years. So I'm excited for this year, kind of, maybe. So just hoping for the best. So thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anita, I don't think you're still frozen, are you? No, you're not. There you are.
Am I frozen?
Yeah.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yes, it's working? No.
Working. I can hear you.
Great. Good morning, everyone. My name is Anita Gamritz-Felder, and I'm the director of the Midland Education Foundation. The Midland Council of PTAs tucks up under the Education Foundation, and that's how we connect to the district. So Keith and I are both here to serve and help in any capacity that we can. And I want to thank you all for stepping up to be the leaders of your PTAs. A big thank you to Allison for leading this charge with the council, Becky for your wisdom, and everyone for being here today. I think it's going to be really productive. And please know, if you ever have questions, to reach out. All these ladies are here to help, and we want to support you and make this a wonderful year. Thanks.
Thank you, Anita. I do have some things that I can go over, but I really wanted to see what questions Erin and Stephanie had first. Another president, Stacy, had emailed some questions that Casey is going to handle because they have to do with the treasurer information. So first, let's start with Stephanie. Do you have any specific questions?
I do. I'm not clear on what exactly requires votes from us as far as like spending money. I feel like we vote on a lot of things, but they're budget line items, and it seems like we do vote on some, we don't vote on some, and I don't know what the line is there. It seems to me like we should just be able to, if we've got a budget line item, we should be able to spend money within that budget without having to vote on it.
Okay, so either Becky, this is what's fun about my job is the reason that Becky and Keitha are here is because they have all the knowledge, and I'm just like the convener. So either Keitha or Becky, do you want to take this?
Okay. Stephanie, you're right. Once you have approved the budget, once your members have approved the budget as a whole, you are free to spend that money within that line item, or rather your treasurer is. You know, you're supposed to review bills as they come in to make sure that they fit the line item and the budget line. But yes, once you have approved that budget, you're free to spend that money in that line item. The only one I would be very careful about and make sure that you vote on is, having been at Great House, I know that we always had a line item that said gifts to Great House. That is a very generic line. And so anytime you want to spend money out of that line item, that's when you need to vote on things. But anything else, for example, years ago, we were giving, every single year, the PE teachers would ask for $100 for Jump Rope for Heart for February, and we would have to vote every single year. And we finally just created a line item for it in the budget. So now it's just there. It's part of the budget. It's approved. We can just write the check to them. Go away.
Okay.
But yes, you are correct.
So
You
we've
can
got
just spend that money.
we've got a Gifts to Great House that's like, it was supposed to be Chromebooks this year, and then we didn't because the district
Not
was
needed
behind.
now.
And then we've got a Gifts to Great House students, which we used last year. We bought a bunch of headphones for the kids to use. Are they both the same way?
Yes. Anything that is just titled gifts, it's just too generic and general. Your line items should be very specific on how you're going to use the money. So, sorry, my granddaughter.
That's okay.
But yes, so you would want to vote on anything that comes out of those gift lines.
Okay, well, I've got another situation. I did 6th grade celebration last year. And I had bought a bunch of stuff. I couldn't use it because we didn't have 6th grade celebration. And so I had a bunch of gift cards and things like that. And our principal asked for some gifts for giveaways to the teachers. And I just had this stuff. It was like PTA property, I guess. And we had some other things, some spiritware that hadn't sold, that was old. And I wanted to use that for these giveaways for the teachers. Does that kind of thing require a vote if it's something that we already own as a PTA?
Because you bought it for one specific purpose and now you're going to use it for another, yes, I would vote on that just to be on the safe side. Especially with t-shirts. If you have old t-shirts that you're wanting to do something with, those are the property of the PTA, and you need to make sure that you have something in your minutes showing what you have decided to do with them. Now, Keitha, what do you think? I'm not sure that you necessarily have to go to the general membership on that. What do you think, Keitha?
I think just a board vote on that one would be fine.
I think so too. As
So
long
not
as you
every
have in
vote
your
that the board
minutes.
does goes to the general membership?
Correct. Not everything goes to the general membership.
Well, then how do you know what goes to the general membership? The Gifts to Great House?
Yes, that's always going to go to the general membership. Mhm.
Okay. And then votes on people, like elections and things like that, would go for sure.
Right, definitely.
Right.
Okay. Can I vote to just, like at the end of the year, can I vote to just roll over any remaining supplies into, I don't know, can I say like PTA use, or as the Nita writes, can I that so we don't have to vote on everything, or do I need to vote on everything?
This has been an unusual year. Normally those things don't happen. You normally don't have a lot of things left over that you have to now do something with. I don't know. Keitha, what do you think?
When I was at Santa Rita, when I first started, we would vote, May or June, whenever we would have our last little meeting, that if we had leftover shirts, we would give those to staff or students that couldn't afford, in August, or if there was something that the principal was going to do, they used to do like a treasure hunt or something. we would vote then that if we had something left over, we would give to them.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Does that help?
That helps. Yeah.
Is that okay?
I would like to point out, Stephanie, that I'm not going to turn you into any fake PTA police. No one is. I think especially this year, as long as, you know, there's minutes and we're just going to have to do our best. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any, you know, as far as someone doing illegal outside of that, I think we're going to have to do our best. And I can also give you, you can get Becky and Keith a cell phone and email. And so you can just start asking them questions directly too, if that makes sense. So, did you have any other questions right now, Stephanie?
Well, it may not apply here. I was hoping there would be a lot of people on here and I could find out what people are doing about fundraising. Because we don't know what to do. We've delayed our fun run. I looked at a readathon. I wondered if anybody had ever done one of those because it would be something we could do at home easier than Boosterthon, I think.
So Whitney,
Stephanie.
oh, go ahead, Casey.
So, well, I was just going to say, so Faskin, we kind of decided at the end of the year last year that we're going to try to operate our budget off of what we have for this
Okay.
year. We're not going to try to fundraise. We might do some little things, but I just think with the economy the way it is, and you
Yeah,
know,
and that's the
we're
concern
not
we
going to be operating all of the programs that we typically do. We're just going to really try to be very careful with what we're spending. Like this year, we didn't buy teacher shirts. We haven't bought several of the little things that we typically do just because we're really trying to save money. So I think if you can look at your budget and you can run minimally, then I would probably postpone fundraisers, especially in the fall, maybe until the spring if you needed to have one.
Okay.
Whitney Rowland, who is the VP of membership on the board, is also president at Fannin, and she might be a good person to talk to also because she has some experience like Casey, and her board was also looking at what could possibly be done, and they're not sure if they're going to do much fundraising. On a Texas PTA call that I was on for council presidents, they had a really neat idea, and it was, I'm going to use my friend Anita as an example because Anita also went to chef school, and she is a fantastic chef, but what they talked about doing was trying to see, like, okay, Anita would agree to bake a cake live on Zoom on Saturday at 2, and then for $10 you would get that Zoom link, and then the week before you'd get the Zoom link and she would send you the list of the ingredients, and then you could hop on that Zoom and you could bake a cake with her. And then they talked about arts and crafts. I mean, I know in elementary school, a bow banking tutorial might be a big deal. You could get $5 each if somebody wanted to learn how to make bows for their daughters. I don't know. They came up with a lot of neat ideas. And the other thing they did that I've seen, I guess it's the Girl Scouts do it, it's the flocking with the flamingos. They bought a bunch of flamingos. They spray painted them school colors. You kind of have to work it out in advance to where the first few yards that you do, it's people that agreed upon it. You're not really making anybody mad, but you flock a yard. Like I would put them in your yard and it would say, if you want to get rid of these, you have to send $10 to the Great House PTA, or for $15 to the Great House PTA, you give me the address and I'm going to go stick them in somebody else's yard. So I don't know if we want to start making people mad during virtual learning. That may not be the best time to start recommending flocking, but those are just some of the ideas that they had. But I think the most important thing is you need 20 members to make sure that your PTA is in good standing. And that is by no means your goal, but that is something I think we need to keep in mind, that we want our PTAs to stay in good standing. We want to be able to partner with the principals and the campuses, help with communication, do as much as we can, but big fundraising, big gifts to school. And some of the principals may be asking PTAs to get involved and help with big donations, and that is just not going to be our focus this year. It's just going to keep in touch with the parents the best that we can and try to maintain that communication. But you should relieve yourself of some stress with trying to find a fundraising.
I was going to mention too that especially our PTA has a very limited budget, and we are a Title I school. And so everything that we are doing is basically kind of out of our pockets. And we have reached out to a couple vendors that are doing online fundraising, like Texas Roadhouse. If you get a code and you go and pick up food and you say Emerson, 20% of that or 10% will come back. Kendra Scott also asked if they could do, and we had a really great success last year with Kendra Scott for an online fundraiser. But right now it's just, you know, it's hard to ask kids to pay $15, $12 for a t-shirt, and then plus, you know, your PTA fees that we don't even know what we can do as a PTA right now. Is just giving the hopes that, you know, come springtime, come Christmas time, we're going to be able to be out there and back in the schools and be able to do stuff, because we're not even allowed on campus right now. So
Yeah, and that's another good thing too, is my philosophy is when you're fundraising, you want to be able to tell the parents what it is they're fundraising for. And I don't think we have a good answer for that right now. So it is hard to ask for donations when, if someone said, what are you going to do with this money if we don't go back to school? And you're going to be like, I don't know. So.
right. And the 3-to-1 ratio, because we can't pull a whole bunch of people together to do like our spaghetti dinner or our chili cook-off, which were free, you know, so.
Erin and Stephanie, have y'all done like boxed lunches or anything? Have you talked with the principals about how to get the staff to join the PTA?
I was told that we weren't allowed to deliver food or bring anything to the school at all.
Okay. And so was it the principal that told you that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that must have been just her comfort level. It's
Our principal said the same from the district.
okay.
Yeah.
That nobody, you couldn't bring outside food into the school. That's what she said. So like we could set up a table outside the building with food on it and they could grab it and take it. The teachers could take it in, but we can't take it in and serve it. And
Take it. Right. Like I knew it needed to be boxed of some sort. Like I know there's no buffet options or anything like that. Cause I think some schools were doing like a Jason's Deli. Casey,
We're going to do, Faskin is going to do a Jason's Deli box to lunch for our teachers the first Friday of school. And we will just have 2 or 3 volunteers take it and set it up in the commons area, and they can come down and get it. And then we'll come back and take it all out, you know, whatever's left.
Are you asking them to join PTA in return for the box lunch?
Yes, and that's what I was going to tell Erin. You know, fundraising, probably not a great idea right now, but I think pushing PTA memberships is super important, especially with all of the changes going on in Austin, hopefully in the future. I think it's important that we let the members know that their membership doesn't only impact local PTAs, but their membership is also helping Texas PTA advocate in Austin for changes through TEA. So I'll have to see if I can find it, but we had a cute little write-up deal that we did about all the things that their membership did, and not just impacting local, but national and state levels also. I'll see if I can find that and send it.
That would be great.
we give the teachers a stipend to spend on classroom supplies or whatever. We give them $100 a piece, and they have to join the PTA though to get their stipend. So we can get all the teachers to sign up that way.
But will you have the $100 for each teacher this year if you don't do any fundraising?
I mean, I think we have it in our bank account. Okay. We've already got it budgeted for and everything. So I think we will. Okay. And also our principal has asked us to see if we could get a food truck parked at the school since we can't bring in food. And so we're going to talk to Gloria's Diner. I know she posted that they had been struggling for work and stuff like that. And I thought it might be a good partnership with her, because especially it's right by the school. So we're going to ask her to park over there the day of Meet the Teacher, and the teachers can go and get their own lunch there. So that might be an option to do something for your teachers.
And your Meet the Teacher is virtual or in person?
It's a drive-through. I don't know exactly how it works, but we're delivering school supplies also at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, the food truck is a great idea. If Gloria, okay, Casey has to go, but then she's going to get back on. Thank you. I have M&M as
Hey,
the
Allison.
truck. Yes.
I think that is, I don't want anybody to miss the opportunity of a drive-through Meet the Teacher, because the PTA could be a stop on the drive-through. So don't miss that opportunity to collect membership during that. So you could have a poster board and be there, and parents are driving through, and you could, give them a flyer with information on how to join online. But that's an opportunity to hate for any PTAs to miss.
Is there a way to find out which schools, I mean, I don't want to put any more pressure on the principals, but can we find out which elementary schools are doing a drive-through? Or I guess I could just send a general message to the PTA president saying, hey, if your school is doing a drive-through, Meet the Teacher might be a good idea to ask.
I think that's the best way. I don't think there's nobody's reporting, we're doing a drive-through, we're doing a virtual. It's just, that's an individual campus thing.
Okay.
I believe we're virtual, Emerson.
Okay. Have you?
So again, if you're virtual, talk to your principal and don't miss the opportunity to have a slide or something, a part of that presentation that she's going to do, because we all know that Meet the Teacher is when you get your members. And if you miss that opportunity, it is
Right.
hard to get people to join after that, because they're all showing up and they're excited. So I would highly encourage you to visit with your principal and pop in and do a virtual spiel, or have something that they can put up digitally.
Yes, I think, and I think Join PTA came back online yesterday, correct?
Yes.
And I checked, and yeah, both Great House and Emerson are on there.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't able to get on there yesterday. I was going to today, but I had the date marked on my calendar. It was backing up and active, so.
Yes, I'm going to check right now.
We did yesterday. I missed it because I was on my way here to Georgia. But at Lee High School, they did a box lunch from Chick-fil-A for all the teachers, and got over 100 teachers to join at that time. So it was a good opportunity to get the teachers anyway. Now getting parents, that's going to be completely different, because our muster is going to be virtual. But they're going to put the link out there for us anyway. And then we've got it all over Facebook, and we've got an Instagram and Twitter now too. So trying to push the joinpta.org.
It's funny because Emerson is Ralph Waldo Emerson Elementary.
Yes.
So you got to scroll down to the R's, but you are on there. And then Great House is that Barney R. Great House. Great House is under the B, which is not the most logical place for it, but there you have it. So yeah, y'all are both set up and ready to go on that.
Okay.
I guess Casey might get back. We'll wait to see if Casey gets back on. There's a couple more treasure questions, but have both. Oh, go ahead.
We don't have a full slate.
Okay.
And there's a possibility that 2 out of the 4 of our officers may pull their children from online to homeschool. So how do I
Do you
what do I
Yeah. Okay, Becky, Keitha.
President, Vice President, VIPs, and Treasurer.
Okay. The president position is the only one that has to be voted in. Once you've got your slate, so you have a semi-slate right now anyway, that was voted in somehow last year during all of this craziness. If you have people who resign, then once they've been voted in, the president can choose people to replace them, and then you just go with the majority vote of the rest of your board. You do not have to get them voted in by the general membership. President is the only one that has to still be voted in by the general membership. So until you have somebody willing to take over the presidency, your first VP is in charge. And then when you have the meeting, when you announce who's going to be running for president to your general membership, Your first VP is the one who handles that meeting and that vote, and your general membership then votes in a new president. It's tough trying to find people, I know, but
So we're missing our secretary. Do we just rotate people taking notes? Just kind of all do a brief summary of what the position of a secretary is, just so that we know how to take minutes and what needs to be recorded?
the president at your meetings, the president can appoint somebody to take those minutes.
Okay.
Since you don't currently have a secretary, they'll just appoint somebody right at the beginning. Please, you take minutes. And then that person is responsible for taking those minutes for you for that meeting.
Okay. And it's okay if, because she was our secretary in the years past, but her time as secretary had passed.
No problem.
Now she's our vice president. Okay.
Yeah, not a problem. And that's actually good because she knows how to do it. So it's okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from anyone? Anita, do you have any points you'd like to make? No? I'm gonna send an August email or a top 5 things to be working on to all the presidents within the next week. And some of that is board training. And I think it's, if I understand right, the basics training is all recorded. So of the officers that you do have, if you'll just request that, I mean, there's no one that is double checking, but in a perfect world, they would be taking their basics training and then they would submit the certificate or whatever that they get at the end of it to the secretary to hold on to. I mean, that's just, isn't that right, Becky and Keitha? Okay. Like you can't get real mad if people don't do it, but we are going to try to offer a training in October. There's monthly Midland Council PTA meetings. Well, not monthly. It's not every month, but the first general MCPTA meeting is September 14th at noon. I'll include all the dates in the email that I send out, but that looks like that's going to be a Zoom meeting. Really the goal this year for the Midland Council is just to support, especially those first year presidents. When I decided that I would take the role as the president, I just remembered that I always had some friends and mentors above me that had kids a little older than I did, and I always had people to ask questions. Otherwise, I would have never been the PTA president, because it's not easy and it results in a lot of questions. So that is a resource I want to be to y'all. So please do not hesitate to call or post questions on Facebook to all the officers. And then Keitha is the liaison, and then I asked Becky if she would just serve as the liaison also, because they are so knowledgeable. And Anita's also served as a president many times. As far as treasurer questions go, Santa Rita's president Stacy had asked the question about Venmo, and it's a tricky question because as far as PTA goes, it's a no. But Casey, do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So in the past, this question has come up about Venmo with Texas PTA, and I've actually called and talked to the Texas PTA office, and they have basically said that Venmo is a hard no, that we cannot, as Texas PTA, under the Texas PTA umbrella, that we cannot accept using Venmo. And the reason is because Venmo is not supposed to, 1, be for business. It's supposed to be for personal use. And 2, it has to be tied to one person's phone number, cell phone number. And so you get into the problem of whose cell phone number do you tie it to? And then how do you ensure that the money is getting transferred in the total amount of money is getting transferred? It just raises a lot of red flags, and there's just a lot of room for errors. And so Texas PTA has just said that under no circumstances are we supposed to use Venmo. There's still a lot of gray area on using Square and that sort of thing. So I would just recommend, if you're going to be using those kind of platforms, you probably need to call Texas PTA and get permission from someone in their office and document who you talk to and make sure that that's all in your minutes if you're going to do something like that. So that's it. on Venmo.
So just hypothetically speaking, say we were going to do that idea with Anita's cooking class, and we were going to charge $10 to $15 in order to give people that Zoom link. How do you recommend we would collect $5 from everybody that wanted to participate?
I don't know. I honestly don't have an answer for that. I don't know. I mean, that's where it's easiest just to use Venmo because it can be done. I know the booster clubs use Venmo. Of course, they're under a different organization head than we are. So I don't know the answer to that. I think that's where it's going to be tricky, especially this year, not having, I mean, you could say, well, just send it with your kids to school. Well, your kids aren't going to be at school. So I don't know the answer to that. And maybe I need to call Texas PTA again and just say, what are your recommendations for this year in handling this?
Hey, I have a question maybe on that. We use MoneyMinder for our treasurer's software, and they have a partnership, or CheddarUp is a part of that. I think that counts as something like Venmo. We just set it up and we sold t-shirts using this CheddarUp. It kind of makes a website for you, and then everybody can pay online. But you could set it up, like you said, for those links. You could ask people to put in you can make a form along with it, so people could pay the $5 and add in their email address or whatever, and then you'd have the mailing list. Is that something that's controversial?
Here's my thing. I think as long as it can be tracked, and I feel like there was some guidance on CheddarUp maybe last year. I'll have to look back through my notes, but either way, I will call Texas PTA and get their official statement on that, just so we kind of know where they stand, and I'll send that out to everyone. But I feel like Santa Rita uses CheddarUp.
Is that cheddar as in
Because whenever I helped,
Yeah, like the cheese.
yeah, like
The
in the
Santa Rita,
cheese.
the Santa Rita president is who told me that they had used it for their snack cart and for a bunch of things that they took money for. And I like the idea because I hate to send $10 with my kindergartner that they may or may not have by the time it comes time to use it. So
yes,
I like.
And I will say this: Santa Rita was, they had, I can't remember the lady's name that was overseeing them from Texas PTA. She was a field service rep, and so they wouldn't have done that last year had she not said that it was okay. So I'm feeling like, and I do feel like I remember that using that software, and there might be other programs too. So I think it warrants a call to Texas PTA to say, hey, how do we handle this, and what are you recommending, and sending that out to all the PTAs. And maybe they've changed their stance on Venmo. I doubt it, but it's worth a call for sure.
Thanks.
The other question that Stacy from Santa Rita had was that the staff at the elementary school were wanting a refrigerator, and she just wanted to make sure that it was okay for the PTA to take donations for people that wanted to donate to help them buy a refrigerator. And then of course they'll post on the Facebook page if anybody has a refrigerator to donate. That would be ideal, but I wasn't sure how that worked. But Casey, you say that it's if someone wants to earmark money for the PTA, but they can't Venmo it, but they can get it to somebody, whatever avenue they can, and then they can earmark it for the refrigerator, and then the PTA can then pay for a refrigerator without a vote.
Yeah, so that's kind of like what Becky was talking about with the
It's to school.
You're frozen, Allison. I hope I didn't just interrupt you. Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Keep going, Casey. Did we lose her?
I think we maybe just lost her.
I think we did lose her. Keitha, do you want to take that one?
If it was already
It
A
would,
line item?
no.
No, it was not.
No.
That,
Sorry,
that
I'm back.
Oh.
the schools, I think it's got to be voted. It was not already in their approval there.
The board could technically,
And
because of gifts in school, right?
If the PTA was wanting to take that on as a project for, as a gift to the school, they could do that. And then there's nothing that says you can't take donations. Absolutely, you can take donations. Just make sure that you have a letter that you can give to people saying, you've donated this much for this purpose. The main thing to remember is that PTA is not supposed to handle funds for any other organization. So if the school, if the teachers themselves, or if the school came to you and said, hey, we want to buy this, but we need you to be able to collect the funds for us and then, write the check for us, you would have to say no, because you're not allowed to handle funds for anybody else. Does that make sense? But if this was,
But
go
you
ahead.
could say the PTA wants to give the staff needs a refrigerator. The PTA board discussed and voted they would like to figure out how to donate a refrigerator to the staff. Then I guess you need to vote on it before you would raise funds.
That's one I would get a general membership vote on also.
Okay.
Because again, the money belongs to the membership, not to the board. It belongs to all of the membership. So anytime you're spending that membership money like that, that would be a gifts to Great House type expenditure. Even if you are taking donations for it, that money, those donations still belong to the membership. So I would just vote on that. Put it, say that we're going to do this. We're going to take donations. We're going to take it out of gifts to Great House. We're going to put our donations in there, earmarked for this refrigerator, and just to keep everything so that you have a record of it all in your minutes.
I would just cross my fingers and hope somebody wanted to donate a refrigerator.
Yeah.
That sounds, but
Allison, going back to accepting online payments,
yes.
if you go to the Texas PTA website, you click the governance box, you'll see a section where you can click policies. And the e-commerce policy is in there, and it tells you how you can accept those online collection payments. It does, if you're going to start collecting online payments, that requires a vote, and it has to be put into your standing rules, or it has to be a separate policy, I think. You have to adopt a separate policy for that.
Keith, does it say what e-commerce, like I felt like there was some kind of regulations as to what e-commerce was acceptable and what wasn't?
I don't know, I don't know when they last updated this, because it's just saying PayPal and Square on here. But I don't see any dates as to when this was.
Okay, that's right, because we did start using Square at Faskin. We haven't done it, we didn't do it last year because we didn't sell anything at Meet the Teacher, but the years before when we did use Square.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And I thought the thing with Square is you can only take it if you are physically there running the card. Texas PTA had told me in the past, because technically you can get on square.com and you can manually enter in somebody's credit card number, and that's a no-no. They said, no, you cannot take people's information. So that would be really the e-commerce side of Square. If you're physically in person, taking their credit card and swiping it through your Square, that's not any different than somebody writing a check. So
that's what it says. Card numbers must not be written down for any reason. Only swipe transactions that are immediately authorized will be accepted.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I do remember we had a couple of cards that we could not get to run. So we called and they said you could type the numbers in if they were physically present right then, but it had to be run right then. You can't write it down to save to put through later.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. That's kind of clear as mud. That kind of begs more questions than it does answers. But again, I will be handing out Becky and Keitha's cell phone number for people to further education on e-commerce. Just kidding. Okay, I think most of this other stuff I'm going to have to put in an email to all the presidents, so I don't want to take your time up when I'm just going to send you an email that says the same stuff. But Erin or Stephanie, do you have any other questions?
I'm good right now.
Okay.
I think that as the days go on and things progress, that's when the questions will arise. But I appreciate the meeting, so thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'm good.
Hey, Allison.
Yes.
Oh, I have one more thing. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No.
But I would, even in your note to the presidents, I would encourage everyone to really look over their budgets. And I know like Great House wants to give their teachers each $100, but if you have 50 teachers, that's $5,000 that you're going to spend. And if you're not going to be able to do a fundraiser this year, would that be better used for something different, you know, especially with not knowing about the kids being in school. So I think, and I think the teachers and the staff and all the PTA members are just going to have to be very graceful and provide a lot of understanding, just because we don't know where this is going. But I know Fasken has really stepped back and we've looked at every single line item and we've really just trimmed our budget down to bare bones, like what we have to have. And then that way, as needs arise, if we have technology needs and that sort of thing, then we can help in those areas that are going to be beneficial for this year.
Well, and I like what you said, Casey, that really right now what we should be encouraging PTAs to work on is the membership. Like that is what they can put a lot of time into, more so than fundraising. So, okay, yes, I will add that. Anybody else have anything to add? Okay.
The only thing I would add is just to make sure that all of your officers go to Texas PTA's website and download that basics on their positions, because it's a wealth of information.
It really is. And I'll include all those links. And then there's also a way to order those, the books. So you can, if you're a visual person and you want to order the books, I'm not sure what the cost is, but I'll look into it. That's another option.
Cheaper just to print it out.
There's also that. I did record this, so I thought about posting it to the Facebook page, just in case. And then Anita just left. She doesn't like the idea of the recording, I guess. That was enough for her. So I am going to post it just as if anybody wants to go back and look at it. But I really appreciate y'all taking the time, and I'm going to have some more of these. As long as we have one or two presidents, I think this is well worth it, because hopefully you got some of your questions answered. So thank you.
Well, it's great to share ideas.
Okay. All right. Well, y'all enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Okay.
You too.